Good morning, Al from Boston. Let's kick it off. All right. I haven't made a video in a while, so I wanted to give you guys a heads up. Got some information that was flowed to me late last night. Wanted to bring it up. I have a well-placed person in DC right now giving me some information regarding crypto. And we've talked about XRP in the past. We've made a number of videos. I want to tell you about what's going on. I'm going to give you a little background. The person I have placed somewhere is in the chain. Let's put it that way. He's in the know. Eric Trump and Don Jr. are making major financial decisions in crypto. They're actually the ones in charge of all this stuff. Larson and all these other guys are just basically doing the guts, right? They're making sure everything's kosher and whatever else, right? This is including the pro crypto political landscape. Okay. I would say before the end of this year, the Trump family would have generated at least $1 billion plus in crypto ventures, right? Eric, the blonde kid, is the chief strategy officer, right? He's leading the expansions that could very well influence the market, right? Um, I want you just to keep this in mind, okay? These decisions that are happening right now are a shift towards a diversified crypto asset, right? It's creating waves in banking and payments. We know this, right? For a company like XRP that's known for cross-border efficiency, this means increased adoption, more legitimacy, and more or less new projects that are coming up, right? Now, a couple of months ago, Eric and Don Jr. They founded American Bitcoin, right? The ticker is ABTC, right? It's a Bitcoin mining and treasury firm. In October the 28th, which is today, ABTC announced they had acquired 1,414 Bitcoin. That's about $163 million worth, right? That's pushing their overall holdings to about 3,865 Bitcoin, right? That's about a little under half a billion, 446 million. And the stock surged 11% post announcements following the merger with Gryphon Digital, right? Where everybody knows that happened in September of 2025. They're also part of an organization called World Liberty Financial, which is a DeFi platform, and it's majority owned by the family. They raised about 550 million in 2025, with the Trumps holding billions in tokens. They've invested in climate-focused crypto projects, and they've shown us that diversified beyond just Bitcoin, right? Eric has made some, I would say alarming if you're a banker, if you're part of the system, very alarming public statements on debanking, driving the world into a crypto world, suggesting mergers with traditional finance, TradFi, traditional finance, and financial tech firms. What I think is about to happen is a major partnership or acquisition by year's end, expanding into payment solutions and boosting overall crypto sentiment. So we're going to see XRP part of that landscape, right? As Ripple, in terms of Ripple's tokens, everybody knows that XRP is fast, it's low cost cross border payments, making it for ideal integration. But of course, we know the areas where Swift and all those bad guys from Europe, European bankers have kind of threw a monkey wrench in their plans. But this is where the Trump family is going to venture into amid the banking deregulation, the crypto deregulation. XRP is trading about 50 cents, 60 cents below where it should be as of October 28th. It should be about $3. And they're talking about huge SEC resolution. When I say huge, I'm talking about not just Ripple, but the entire spectrum. And that's going to happen. That will happen. It'll happen all at once, which basically is going to provide an avenue of approach for on-demand liquidity. The on-demand liquidity is what one sector of government really wants to prevent some kind of nuclear meltdown like we had in the past, right? They're focusing on assets that could boost that are basically indirect investments, but indirect boosts for XRP if the mergers involve global finance, which is what they're trying to do, like the Japanese bill, tying into Trump's got this 550 billion Japanese investment deal, and Eric has been on X talking about banking reforms. We think that's part and parcel of it. And this could position XRP as a major key player. Japan will be the first, right? In a new deregulated ecosystem, right? Now, in terms of ABTC, they're already pumping the markets. You got similar momentums in alts like XRP, and it could drive it to $1, $2 extra by Q1 of 2026. So it could be $4 or $5. We don't know. But it's a lot of it driven by policy shifts and sentiment with these XRP ETFs. They're going to buy a lot. So we're looking at a couple more bucks. And I'm being conservative here. I'm not talking about regular retail investors. We're just talking about just what we're talking about we know of. If decisions include payment tech partnerships, you could see a 10x upside very quickly in the long, and not even in the long term, in the short term, becoming that bridge for DeFi and TradFi to actually manifest itself in the form of XRP Ripple, right? So a full SEC settlement with institutional inflows under pro-crypto policies could really skyrocket this price. I believe XRP could outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum in the utility sectors, according to my source. I think there's a couple things that have to be done first, which I think Eric and Don Jr. are doing. They're catalyzing banking adoption processes with trends that are actually accelerating in the news. So they're playing into the market, which is a smart thing, right? Listen, companies like BNB, Solana could see similar gains in payments and so on and so forth, right? But the XRP's edge is the banking sector, right? There's going to be some short-term spikes. There'll be conflicts. Overall, the alts, if diversified, could make you a ton of money if you're really smart about it and you know what you look for. That's just my opinion on the matter. But I don't see Bitcoin dominating forever. I really don't. It's just the way I feel about it. But I know for a fact that, these guys are going through the process of vetting everything, and the regulatory side, the Larsons and all the other guys that are involved in the Trump administration, they're doing the actual, the guts and how it's going to work with the lawyers and the banks and everything else. They're kind of like the peacemakers. And I see a moment where, XRP could double, maybe even triple when these things happen, making generational wealth, like the stuff that we talked about in the past. And I think it's going to be a huge thing. I think it's going to be big decision making by the Trumps, Eric and Don Jr. They're going to make some huge decisions in the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months, starting Q1. They're doing the legwork now, though. That's what's happening. They're basically kind of shutting themselves off the world, and they're diving into crypto, and they're really just seeing, okay, where can we use this? Because these guys are private equity guys at the end of the day, right? They're private equity guys, and that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with private equity guys, especially ones that could influence positively for guys like us, for retail, right? That's why I believe that this asset accumulation that they're doing is kind of a driving force for everybody else. We're supposed to keep an eye on them and see what they're doing and mimic, because they're going to do something big. And I think it has to do with mergers. I think a lot of it has to do with mergers, right? Yeah, Bitcoin's going to make money off of it. Absolutely. Will it reign forever? I don't believe so. Ethereum's going to do well. Solana's going to do well. The general market effect, you're going to see at least a 5x sentiment, But that's what I feel is happening here. Having that conversation with my friend and basically spilling the guts on, and this was at least an hour-long phone call, when we talked about ABTC, we talked about World Liberty Financial, what they're trying to do, because they have personal stakes in this, guys. They have 15 billion tokens that's worth $3.4 billion, right? And in Q1 alone in 2025, they made 800 million. and over a total $1 billion in these various crypto ventures. They're cashing in. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen. It's very, very soon. It's going to happen. Like the next couple of months, we'll start seeing this shift, and we're going to see a multiplier involved. And it could be 2x, it could be 5x, it could be 100x. We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I don't know. What I am doing right now is I am buying more of the tops and less of the shit coins. Everybody, nobody buys shit coins anyway. You got to be a dope to buy shit coins. The ones that don't have utilities and whatever else. But that's kind of what's going on. All right. I want you guys to be aware of it. Uh, know that it's happening. Know that it's coming. It's not forgotten. They tried everything in their power, but they simply can't stop this train. They simply can't stop it. And Eric and Don Jr. are going to be the keys to this thing. They're holding the keys to economic freedom for most of Americans that are in the crypto market, and that's no joke. They hold the keys to that kingdom. Eric and especially is doing the gut work. He's actually the one doing all the actual research. He's got a staff down in Florida doing all the hard legwork, and they're piecing it all together piece by piece, looking at financial risk. That was the big thing, because they didn't want to put themselves at risk and the country at risk. Because if the country goes by their recommendations, it's going to be a shit show. So that's why they're dutifully doing these things. They're not like just throwing it all together. So that's what's happening. Eric and Don are doing this, and I see wonderful, wonderful things. I see mergers coming between TradFi and DeFi. I see big money decisions happening. Discernment. That's what I would tell you to have, discernment. There's going to be people that are going to try to harm this deal, European bankers specifically, and their cohorts in Wall Street that are, it is what it is. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to tell you. And just be obedient to what God's telling you to do. Pray about these things, because I think you could double, maybe even triple what's about to happen and actually obtain generational wealth. Hopefully you guys have been buying XRP regularly, and it's just one of these things you got to look out for. All right, that's all I got, you guys. Alpha Boston signing out.